Students, today we discuss on motion in a straight line. You know what is motion? What do you mean by motion of an object? Students, motion is nothing but change in position of an object with time. I mean, with respect to time, how position of an object is changed. That is your motion. You see, suppose here is an object. This is an object at position O. Now this object with time reaches point P. From O to P, its position is changed with time. So we say that body is in motion. When we consider the object, it is also a point object. What is the meaning of point object? A bus is taken as a point object. Train is taken as a point object. How? One can say how these are taken as point object, or which one is said to be an object, I mean point object, when the size of the object is very small than it covers the distance. What does it mean? Suppose here is a bus. Okay, here is a vehicular bus that moves from this position to that position, and of course this distance is suppose 5 kilometers. You see, the size or dimension, you say size or dimension of this bus is very less as compared to distance covered. That's why this bus is taken as a point object. Similarly, students, a train is also taken as a point object. And in everyday life, this point object is important because they are taken as point object. One can also raise the question, sir, if bus covers a small distance like 1 meter, 2 meter, whether this is a point object? No. A train covers a distance of 100 meter, whether train is a point object? No. So when they are taken as point object, when the size of the object is very less than the distance it covers, then that object is taken as point object. I think you know what is point object. In kinematics, students, we focus on motion of the object without going into its cause. Without considering its cause, we describe motion, that is your kinematics. So since our chapter is motion in a straight line, motion you know, straight line you know, point object you know, and also you know what is kinematics. In kinematics, we have to see what is position, distance, displacement, like that. Students, this is the position of an object. After some time the position is here. After some time the position will be here. I mean position of the object is changed with time. What you know? Motion. But to describe the position of an object, we need a reference point or a set of axes. You know, rectangular axes are what? What are the rectangular axes, students? I consider this. Suppose this is your 3 axis. X axis, Y axis, Z axis. 3 rectangular axis means angle between XY is 90 degree. Angle between YZ is 90 degree. Angle between XZ is 90 degree. So these are your rectangular axes. This is the origin. This is the O is the origin. I mean the intersection of 3 axes is known as origin. This is also taken as reference point. I mean this origin also taken as reference point. Okay, students, origin is the reference point, and the coordinates x, y, z of an object describe its position. Suppose I take, here is the point. Here is the point. Suppose it's P and x, y, z. I mean the position of an object is described by this x, y, z. X, y, z means from x axis, I mean along x axis from O to x distance, along y this is y distance, similarly along z this is z distance. So x, y, z are the coordinates we say, 3 coordinates we say. But including that 3 coordinates, if we place a time, if we place a clock, then it measures the time. Suppose in that system we place a clock which will measure the time. So I mean with x, y, z, time is included. That is also called space time, or this total x, y, z time gives you frame of reference. I think you understand what is this frame of reference. These 3 coordinates x, y, z with time coordinate represent the position of an object in a particular time. O is taken as the reference point. I mean the position is measured from this reference point, and x axis, y axis, z axis is the coordinate system based on which the position of a particular object can be described. Students, suppose you consider one coordinate. Suppose you consider one coordinate means, suppose one say a body moves along x axis, or object moves along x axis or y axis or z axis. If you consider only one axis, then this is one dimensional motion. If you need 2 or 3 axes, then that will be 2 or 3 dimension. I mean motion may be 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension. Suppose an ant moves on the plane of this board. Since this is a plane, this is 2D, 2 dimension. So one says 2-dimensional motion is motion of an ant in a plane. 1 dimension means motion of a bus in a straight line. Motion of a car in a straight line. This is 1-dimensional motion. Similarly, students, 3D, 3 dimension. That is your space. That is what 3D. You need 3 coordinates x, y, z. Suppose I consider here is a point, and this point is in 3D because you need 3 coordinates to represent its position: x coordinate, y coordinate, and a z coordinate. If you take example, you say motion of molecule of a gas. Suppose in your room, if you leave gas molecule, that gas molecule move randomly. So that molecular motion you say 3D or 3 dimension. So I think you understand 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension. Importantly, you remember, if 1 coordinate is required to specify the position of an object, this is 1-dimensional motion. I mean motion in a straight line, this is 1 dimension. If 2 coordinates are required, either xy or yz or xz, then this is 2-dimensional motion. Your projectile motion like this. Suppose you throw a body, the body moves in this way. So at any point, there are 2 coordinates required to specify its position. So projectile motion is also 2D or 2-dimensional motion. Similarly, your motion of the molecule of a gas is 3D. You cannot say, sir, motion of the aeroplane is 3D or 2D or 1D. If aeroplane moves in a straight path, you say this is 1 dimension. You cannot say 2D or 3D. I mean this 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, you have to need or you require 1 axis or 2 axis or 3 axis. So this is what your reference point, frame of reference, and also different type of motion like 1D, 2D, 3D.